Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring stories to life. Get ready for an epic journey through Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, a story filled with action, mystery, and mind-blowing twists. A huge thank you to Sing-Shong for crafting this incredible story. If you enjoy this audiobook, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. Chapter 11. Episode 3, Contract 1. My body suddenly became heavy as I felt water entering my lungs. Then I was sucked in somewhere. I wasn't torn apart because I fell with perfect timing. However, I couldn't lose consciousness here. I had to stay awake. I needed to wait for a while. I somehow managed to curl up and hold my breath. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I was barely breathing when my hands hit a tangible wall in the darkness. Uwek. I could barely breathe after coughing up the river water several times. My level 10 stamina saved me from being killed by hitting the water surface, but the large and small bruises all over my body were very painful. I controlled my breathing in order to not fall into a panic and turned on my smartphone. I was worried it might have broken in the fall, but the power was fortunately okay. It was good that I spent big and bought a smartphone with a waterproof function. Pahit. The flashlight turned on and the surrounding scenery entered my eyes. There were huge walls with concrete byproducts floating by. The stomach of an ichthyosaur was more disgusting than I thought. Damn it! Yo Jong-hyuk's expression as he let go of his hand without hesitation and got off the bridge was vivid. I expected it, but it was more shocking than I thought. If I wanted to be his companion, I had to survive. It wasn't that I didn't understand. Companion. The weight of this word was too great for Yo Jong-hyuk. Since his failure in the first round of regression, Yo Jong-hyuk had never made a real companion. It was rare for humans to easily follow the growth of a regressor. As a result, he solved everything alone, was revered as a savior and was naturally lonely. To Yo Jong-hyuk, humans were only subordinates or enemies. Thus, this was a test. If I wanted to be in an equal position with him, I had to solve this much alone. Well, this was when looking at it from Yo Jong-hyuk's viewpoint. A companion like you, crazy psychopath. I barely doggy-paddled to a floating styrofoam panel and raised my body onto it. Thanks to the warmth of the stomach, I wasn't cold. However, the problem was from now on. I closed my eyes and played the message log that I heard. You have failed to clear the scenario. Paid settlement will begin. 100 coins have been reduced for the channel usage fee. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband has nodded at your exciting remarks. 100 coins have been sponsored. The constellation demon-like judge of fire nods are your choice. 100 coins have been sponsored. The constellation's secretive plotter is disappointed in your rash remarks. There were quite a few messages. In addition, a few exposed constellations sponsored me. Maybe it was due to the final conversation between Yo Jong-hyuk and I. I felt a little down as I read through the messages of the constellations one by one and collected the coins. If I had picked one of these constellations in the first sponsor selection, this might not have happened. But there was no regret in my choice. After encountering Yo Jong-hyuk directly, I was certain. The great sage, the equal of heaven, might be a sponsor of the highest quality, but he wasn't enough. I needed more than just sponsorship if I wanted to confront Yo Jong-hyuk. And I would gain it from here. The walls of the stomach growled and small waves rose inside. The sea commander seemed to be moving somewhere. I turned on my smartphone and calculated the time. According to Ways of Survival, the ichthyosaur started to secrete stomach acid around 3 hours after ingesting food. In other words, I didn't have much time left. Haha, it is sad that things turned out like this. It was very interesting. There was a sound effect before the Dokibi's voice was heard. Dokibi? Yes, that's right. You don't seem panicked at all? I knew you would come. HMM. It sounds like you were waiting for me. Of course I have been waiting. Light turned on and the Dokibi appeared. I couldn't tell for sure from his expression alone, But this guy was clearly interested. I deliberately spoke calmly. If I was pushed here, I wouldn't be able to eat my meal. Are you doing to take coins from me? Coins? You have to take coins in exchange for me failing the scenario. Not your life. If it was my life, you would have written death in the failure results column, not 3 question marks. Doesn't this mean there is room to negotiation? Ha ha ha. How interesting. In fact, there was a loophole in my words. The scenario message was failure? This literally meant that the penalty of failure was unknown. It was just my assumption that it was in exchange for coins. Nevertheless, there was a reason why I was so certain. Am I wrong? It was because I already knew about this scenario. The Dokibi hesitated for a moment before nodding. You are right. Amazing. That you could determine this point with such a clue, as expected from someone who is attraction the constellation's attention. The Dokibi's tone was filled with sincere admiration. As you said, you can survive this sub-scenario if you pay coins, even if you fail. How much? Pay 5,100 coins. Then I will let you live. I looked at how many coins I currently possessed. Coins possessed, 5,100 C. I couldn't help smiling. This jerk was messing around right now. That is too much. Haha, then won't you die? It is up to me to accept the coins or not. If you do something wrong, then I can just end it here. Then kill me. Heh. Kill me. Times. You can't kill me? The Dokibi didn't move. It was natural. He was having a lot of fun with me right now. Furthermore, he wouldn't have come down here to see me if he had been planning to kill me. For this guy, I had to survive here, or I at least had to die miserably. Haha. You are really making me angry. Look, now. The Dokibi's flat-shaped eyebrows wriggled furiously. It was time to stop the taunts and get to the main point. Low-grade Dokibi, Bi-hyung. How are the activities of a streamer? If there was a crack in the face, it would look exactly like this. Dokibi Bi-hyung showed confusion for the first time. How do you know my name? You haven't been enjoying broadcasting lately, right? The constellations are too stingy. Who the hell are you? How does a human? Bi-hyung's horns shook. It was natural. An ordinary human couldn't know about the star stream system. But I wasn't an ordinary human. A few constellations have doubts about your existence. The constellation's secretive plotter's eyes are shining at your plan. From now on, it wasn't a story for the constellations. I mouthed to Bi-hyung, how about we talk after you close the channel? Bi-hyung was worried and closed the channel. BI7623 channel is closed. Once the constellations left the channel, Bi-hyung showed his true colors. Feel free to speak. How can an ordinary human know about the star stream broadcasting? That isn't important. Here. Bi-hyung, do you want to be king of the Dokibis? What now? Don't you wish to be the best streamer in the network, surpassing Dokgak and Gildao? Bi-hyung's complexion was changing. Dokibi Bi-hyung, sign a contract with me. Then I will make you the king of the Dokibis. Chapter 12. Episode 3, Contract, 2. Star Stream System. The Star Stream broadcasting was designed to relay its contents to the entire universe. The subscribers were constellations at the top of the distant galaxies. The actors were humans like me. And the storyteller that connected the two sides was the Dokibi in front of me. Ha ha. You are crazy. A crazy human. I should have known it when you refused to sponsoring of the other constellations. Bi-hyung laughed for a long time before opening his mouth again. I don't know how you know about Starstream broadcasting, but I can't accept the offer. I'm a Dokibi, not a constellation. I can't be your sponsor. You seem to have misunderstood. I never told you to sponsor me. Here. I am well aware that you are a weak Dokibi. I don't need your strength. I need your channel. My channel. Since you can't seem to understand me, is there a problem with your Korean language patch? No, what is this? I will explain it simply. I want to sign an exclusive contract with your channel. Bi-hyung made a blank expression before belatedly regained his spirit. Wait a minute. Do you want to make a stream contract with me now? Yes. A stream contract was originally a contract between Dokkibi and constellations. The constellation's incarnation would appear on a particular channel and the Dokkibi would receive a portion of the coins earned by the incarnation of the constellation as a commission. Originally, the person who was the incarnation couldn't intervene in this contract. It was called sponsorship, but the contracted incarnation was nothing but a slave. Hahit, this is a hit. Bi-hyung laughed behind small fingers. The surrounding atmosphere was changing. I don't know how you know about such things, but some human dares to mention the stream contract? It is also a trivial buy with no sponsor? The tone changed and the surrounding air was filled with killing intent. Indeed, even a low-level Dokkibi was strong compared to humans. But it wasn't enough to make me back off. It is worth signing a contract because I have no sponsor. What? What do you think the purpose of a constellation is to enter a channel? Bi-hyung looked like a bad student at the sudden question. From now on, it was a special lecture time for the low-level Dokkibi. You don't have to be so nervous. You already know this information. But let's review it again to see what it means. Bi-hyung was caught in my pace and nodded despite himself. The Starstream subscribers can be largely divided into two groups. One group are the fun seekers who seek to relieve their boredom with the channel. The other group are the incarnation searchers who want to find an incarnation to contract with them. Isn't that right? Yes. That's right. For this reason, you must be able to satisfy one of the two groups in order to become a famous channel in Starstream. In other words, either stick to the fun seekers or the incarnation seekers. You have to attract one of them properly. You are moderately well informed. But so what? What does this contract have to do with why constellations subscribe? I don't know how many more hints I have to give you. This is why your subscribers' number still isn't over 3 digits. Shut up. Say it quickly. Seeing Bi-hyung thrust his small horns at me cutely, it was hard to believe the Dokkibi had blown up people's head a while ago. Now let's stop making fun of him and take a chance. What if there is a channel that can satisfy both the fun seekers and the incarnation searchers? What are you saying? Such a thing is impossible. Even if it is possible, it is only for a while. Bi-hyung's words were correct. The reason why it was impossible to satisfy all the constellations was due to the characteristics of the incarnation searchers group. The purpose of these constellations was to discover an incarnation. They changed channels as soon as the sponsor selection was over. Due to this, the incarnation searchers group were just temporary customers. But that is a story for when the sponsor selection proceeds normally. What? What if there is an incarnation who doesn't sign a contract with any constellation? And what if that incarnation shows an ability that transcends all other incarnations with sponsors? The existence of a strong incarnation would attract the eyes of the constellations. If this incarnation continued to not select a sponsor, the incarnation searchers group would continue to subscribe without leaving the channel. Wait a minute. Is this why you didn't select a sponsor? Yes, that's right. This is interesting. Bi-hyung grinned at me. Becoming the strongest incarnation without a sponsor, if there is such a thing, it certainly wouldn't be a dream to become the best Starstream channel. But such an incarnation can't exist. Do you really think so? I admit that you aren't normal. You have attracted the attention of constellations from the beginning, and thanks to it, I have also been having fun. However, there is a limit to your delusions. Haven't you noticed it after going through that? An ordinary human can never beat an incarnation. That is the law of the world. I don't know that. You have already missed the opportunity. Look around you. This isn't a main scenario. You failed a sub-scenario and now your life is at risk. There are no constellations watching you. Really? By now, the constellations must be in an uproar. Aren't they? Isn't everybody clamoring for the channel to quickly be opened? Bi-Hyung was silent. Aren't they all going crazy with curiosity right now? Who is that crazy person who went against the regressor? Is he really a prophet? Can he really see the future? If he can see the future, what did he get eaten by the ichthyosaur? Stop. You are. From now on, I'm going to show it. So shut up and do what I tell you. Do you want to become the king of Dokibis? Bi-Hyung's gaze towards me was changing. I could hear the sound of him gulping. Bi-Hyung was worrying. In any case, there was nothing to lose if he believed me here. Then? Bi-Hyung's pupils moved quickly. Then let's settle the scenario failure first. Give me 5,100 coins. What are you saying? I didn't fail. Eh? Maybe by now I would have met the conditions. I loosened my body and got up from my seat. My cold body was stiff. Bi-Hyung still had a stupid expression on his face. Open the channel. It will start soon. Start, what will? Then a message was heard in the air. The hidden scenario has arrived. Plus. Hidden scenario, Commander Slayer. Category, hidden. Difficulty, A+. Clear conditions, kill the ichthyosaur sea commander and escape from its stomach. Time limit, 10 days. Compensation, 9,000 coins. Failure, death. Plus. Look, didn't I tell you to be prepared? There were 3 types of scenarios in Ways of Survival. The main scenario was in charge of progressing the main story. The sub-scenarios were responsible for minor events. And the hidden scenarios were only opened through special conditions. How on earth? Bi-Hyung's lips were shaking with shock. Unlike the main scenarios and sub-scenarios that a Dokkibi was in charge of, the hidden scenarios were characterized by their automatic appearance when certain conditions were met. You didn't even know. You low-grade Dokkibi. What on earth? Anyway, if I can clear this, I will prove that I have the ability for the contract, right? Bi-Hyung watched the scenario screen with gloomy eyes. He looked at me with a careful gaze and asked, this scenario, the difficulty is A+. Do you really believe you can clear it? Yes. There was a small wave as the Han River water crashed against the wall of the ichthyosaur's stomach. Bi-Hyung was silent for a moment before opening his mouth. Okay. If you succeed in clearing this scenario, then I will accept the contract. The terms of the contract will be negotiated after the scenario is cleared. So arrogant, then I will open the channel again. Please try hard. Wait a minute. It would be difficult if he left already. I had something to check. You have something left to do. What is it now? Bi-Hyung's mocking tone was somewhat annoying. Fix a system error for me. System error? My attributes window isn't opening. No way. The system can't have an error. The scenario system is perfect. Take a look yourself. Bi-Hyung looked at me with suspicious eyes and started to mutter something. The Dokkibi Bi-Hyung has used system interference on you. System interference. It was an absolute interference skill that could only be used by Dokkibis with the right to interfere in the scenario. In fact, it was unclear if the reason why I couldn't see the attributes window was an error or not. But at least the Dokkibi would be able to find out something. And if he couldn't figure it out, that was also a profit for me. The exclusive skill, Fourth Wall, is activated. In the next moment, sparks flew in the air and struck Bi-Hyung. Chapter 13. Episode 3, Contract 3. Looking at the situation, I got a sense of what happened. What is it? Is something wrong? This isn't possible. How can there be a firewall preventing the system interference? It seemed Fourth Wall blocked not just the skills of an incarnation but the Dokkibi's interference as well. If this was true, It meant nobody in Ways of Destruction could see my attributes window, including myself. How interesting. It was the perfect condition to become a scammer. Forget about it. Please wait. I can do it. What if I do this? You can't do it. Kuak. Bi-hyung screamed like he had received an electric shock. The white fluffy hair on his skin was burnt black. To this. It's okay. If you can't do it, then stop. I will ask for another favor. This can't be. I am Dokibi Bi-hyung. If I can't solve this situation, the honor of the Dokibi. I looked at the clock. It had been an hour since the ichthyosaur ate. There was no time to delay like this. The Dokibi bag. Bi-hyung stopped his useless action of digging at the air. What? Open the Dokibi bag. How do you know about that? Are you going to open it? Only an incarnation with a sponsor can use the Dokibi bag. It is true that all incarnations that use the Dokibi bag have a sponsor. But there is no rule that an incarnation without a sponsor can't use the Dokibi bag. Wait a minute. Bi-hyung pulled out a manual and confirmed it. At this point, I don't know if I am a Dokibi or you are. Are you actually a Dokibi? The smiling Bi-hyung raised both hands. Okay, there is no problem if you use it. However, the Dokibi bag can only be used when the channel is open for streaming purposes. Is that okay? It's fine. #BI7623 channel is open. The constellations have entered. Then an electric current appeared in the air. A transparent screen emerged in front of me. Welcome to the coin shop, the Dokibi bag. The Dokibi bag. It was the moment when this damn world's cash store was opened. There were two ways to use coins in Ways of Survival. One of them was to raise the level of the stats such as stamina and strength. The other was to use it as a common form of currency that could be used in various stores, including the Dokibi bag. Buy it now. A starter pack for your incarnation for 2,500 coins. A today-only special. A 300% growth package, grow faster than others. Did you accidentally pick an incarnation with a bad attribute? Don't worry. The random attribute box that can randomly change the attribute has been released. There were numerous coin items, including various packages. All of the advertisements in the Dokibi bag were aimed at the constellations raising incarnations. It was natural. The original customers of the Dokibi bag were constellations. I got rid of the pop-up advertising windows one by one. It was nothing compared to the disasters that emerged after the fifth main scenario, but a Sea Commander ichthyosaur was no different from a disaster for the early stage incarnations. I needed some items sold in the Dokibi bag to defeat the ichthyosaur. Let's see. I looked at the catalog before glancing over at Bi-hyung. Hey, are these the only items I can buy right now? Is there a search function? At that, shit. Wait. Constellations. Please calm down. From the moment the channel opened, Bi-hyung was repeating complaints with a comic-like sweat. It was just a server error that shut the broadcast off for a while. I didn't turn it off on purpose. There was a total of 20 stars above Bi-hyung's head. Since not too many of them had left the channel, it seems that quite a few constellations wanted to see what happened to me. Of course, not all the constellations were friendly. A few constellations are questioning the fairness of the broadcast. A few constellations are suspicious of the privileges you have received. It wasn't unexpected. While the broadcast was off, a hidden scenario started and the Dokibi bag was opened. It was no wonder that the constellations were surprised. No preferences? Look at this, constellations. I am a Dokibi. Don't you know that I will be extinguished if I do that? Don't you know that the storyteller vow is never light? Will you help me? There is a product search button in the lower right corner. Thank you. I ignored Bi-hyung and pressed the magnifying glass icon at the bottom of the package window. The product search function is activated. The produce search is limited to 5 times a day. Any additional searches will cost 100 coins per search. In any case, humans and Dokkibi were the same. The total number of free searches given was 5. 2 searches were enough to buy the materials I needed, so I had 3 searches left. The constellation secretive plotter is wondering about your plan. Yes, be curious. If you are curious, keep watching. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is looking angrily at your actions. Don't watch if you are going to get all twisted up. I open my mouth to use the search function. Search for the Ancient Dragon item. There are 3 search results. A small pop-up window soon emerged. Ancient Dragon's Heart, stock. Ancient Dragon's Bone, stock, 1. Ancient Dragon's Horn, stock, 1. I chose the Ancient Dragon's Heart. Item information. Name, Ancient Dragon's Heart. Rating, SS. Description, a heart containing the magic power of the ancient dragon Ignitus. It possesses near-infinite magic power, and the attribute Hellfire will be acquired if a heart transplant is successful. Price, 1,500,000 C. Stock, just sold out. As expected, it was out of stock. From beyond the catalogue, Bi-hyung, who was dealing with the constellations, looked at me with his jaw dropped. Crazy! How do you know the information about the ancient dragon? I just called out a nice name. It seems like a lie. I shrugged. In the original Ways of Survival, the owner of the ancient dragon's heart was already determined. If I remember correctly, the owner of the heart was currently in Italy. A person with good luck. They got such a diamond sponsor. I called out several more product names. The related product search is completed. Great Demon's Eyes, stock, 0. White Pure Star Energy, stock, 1. The Great Demon's Eyes was sold out. The hands of the constellations were really quick. Well, I couldn't buy it since the selling price was 1 million coins. At any rate, it was good to have a sponsor. Now the incarnation with the Great Demon's Eyes would grow and destroy the beginner scenarios. What are you really? What type of cheat are you using? How do you know about items that can only be found in the search? I just said plausible names. Among the 3 items that I searched for, only the White Pure Star Energy was in stock. Furthermore, the price was 10,000 coins, so I couldn't buy it now. I put it in the shopping cart for now. What, are you buying it? Not right now. I am just window shopping. Sheesh, what a waste of time. I am going to buy something else, so bring up the items I call out from now on. I called out several item names. After a moment, a list of items emerged in front of me. Mucus of the Hammer Seahorse, stock, 124. Stone Hog's Pointed Thorn, stock, 17. I compared it to the list in my memories. The food of the ichthyosaur, the hammer seahorse, and the stone hog, the nemesis of sea species. There was no doubt. This combination was the best when it came to attacking an ichthyosaur. 4 mucus, 4 thorns. It is 800 coins. Yes, but where are you going to use these miscellaneous items? You don't need to know. I don't want to be nosy, but why don't you buy something else? For example, this Wuryong sword technique. It is originally 8,000 coins, but I will now sell it for 4,000 coins. Wouldn't buying this be more helpful to clear the scenario? Thank you, but I will just buy this. Bi-hyung wasn't satisfied but received the payment. 800 coins have been consumed. In the darkness, a sparkling powder gathered and 4 elongated thorns and 4 pockets of black mucus appeared. I can't give a refund if you regret it now. Do you understand? I know. I briefly nodded and started working. I took off my top, tied it around my waist and stuck the thorns in the gap, while the pockets were hung from my waist. The stone hog's thorn was stumpy but became sharp at the end. It was approximately 1 meter in length. It was a reasonable size to pierce something. Echa, then I'll be going. I can't stay with you. There is something fun going on in another place. Do it. Who, then hang in there. I hope the story will bless you. Bi-Hyung disappeared in a flash of light and the surroundings became dark again. I could use the light on my smartphone, but I wanted to save the battery as much as possible. In the darkness, the stone hogthorn was emitting a bluish light. It was a feeble light, but for the moment, it would be sufficient. I pulled out a thorn and swung it. Maybe it was because I didn't have a skill such as weapons training or incarnation of all soldiers. I couldn't get used to holding the thorn. A few constellations are bored. The impatient constellations left the channel. I couldn't see it, but Bi-Hyung was probably fretting right now. Then an hour passed. Right, left, up and down. I didn't like it, but I no longer had a problem handling the thorn. The surface finish was rough and didn't seem like it would slip easily from the hand. It was time to begin. I used the proper force and stabbed at the ichthyosaur wall above me. Tying! It was like poking a rubber elastic wall as the thorn bounced off. My current strength wasn't high enough to tear at the stomach of the ichthyosaur. It would probably be the same if I used a skill. Coo 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 coo. At that moment, the small holes at the top of the stomach wall opened simultaneously. Then an absolutely disgusting liquid poured out. Kuweek! One of the demonic people floating on something in the stomach started shrieking. Choo choo choo! The skin of the demonic person started burning. The digestion of the ichthyosaur had begun. The ichthyosaur's digestive juices quickly mixed in the river water and started to melt away at the concrete and other floating products. Choo 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 choo. There was no time. It was going as planned. I jumped from the floating object and gripped a bump on the wall of the stomach. Then I started climbing up the wall like I was rock climbing. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. The outlet of the digestive juices was right above. I put the thorn in my mouth and grabbed a pocket of mucus. The mucus of the hammer seahorse. I poured the mysterious dark blue liquid onto my hand and applied the mucus carefully from the tip to the end of the thorn. It was with precision and care, as if applying shaving cream to an area to be shaved. If the shaving cream protected the skin from the razor, the mucus protected the thorn from the digestive juices. Go! I swung the thorn towards where the digestive juices were coming from. The angle was correct and I used my maximum strength. Kwang! The digestive juices flowed down the thorn and dissolved the skin on my forearm. I experienced a terrible pain but didn't stop. If I made a mistake here, then everything was over. The exclusive skill Fourth Wall has relieved some of the pain. Gurgle, gurgle. Chururuk. Before long, the thorn jammed up the emission point. Just one. After a deep sigh, I pulled out another thorn from my waist. I applied the mucus of the hammer seahorse, found another opening and blocked it. A few constellations admire your calmness. The constellations have sponsored you 200 coins. I used this method to block 3 opening points. There were some left, but the small openings didn't release large amounts of digestive fluids. There was one thorn left in the top tightly tied around me. All that was left was one thorn and 2 pockets of mucus. I used the remaining mucus on my skin and clothes, then poured what was remaining down my throat. Cup! The fishy taste on my tongue was sickening, but it was better than dying. The bitterness was nothing compared to the disaster that would occur from now on. It was around 5 minutes afterwards that the entire stomach started trembling. It had started. Keek dash! The ichthyosaur let out a painful scream. The blood vessels on the wall of the stomach were squirming. The thorns were visibly expanding into the blood vessels. The thorns in the openings had started their aggressive growth activity. The stone hog's thorn grew in response to the body fluids of seawater species. Gududuk, gududuk. The thorn that became immune to the digestive juices due to the applied mucus absorbed the surrounding fluids and started to take root in the body of the ichthyosaur. The stone hog's thorns wouldn't stop expanding until the ichthyosaur was completely dead. Key! As I watched the liquid swirling under my feet, I grabbed the thorn tightly. I did everything I could. From now on, it was a mental fight. Either I died or this guy would die. Only one of us would survive. Chapter 14. Episode 3, Contract, 4. I didn't know how much time passed. My breathing was often interrupted and all my muscles were so stiff that I could barely move them. A few constellations admire your will to survive. The constellations have sponsored you 100 coins. But I persisted. I persisted because I believed I could hold on. The light emitted from the thorn in the darkness confirmed that I was alive. After confirming the falling temperature of the stomach wall, I was convinced that he was dying. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire admires your spirit. The constellation has sponsored you 100 coins. When I was hungry, I placed my tongue to the end of the thorn. The condensed fluid that flowed out contained the life force absorbed from the ichthyosaur. The reason I drank the mucus in advance was to absorb this concentrate. Your stamina has slightly increased due to absorbing the power of the ichthyosaur. There wasn't an immediate effect of my stats level increasing, but by the time I escaped from the ichthyosaur, I would gain at least 2 levels in stamina. It wouldn't work at a higher level, but this was one of the few tricks I could use to raise my stamina without using coins. Indeed, this wasn't a dream. This was all I could do. I was just an ordinary reader. I wasn't a protagonist. It felt like I would wake up screaming in bed at any moment, but no such miracle happened no matter how much I blinked. Mother would be fine. She was okay. This wasn't anybody else, it was Mother. I fell asleep whenever the liquid on the floor drained away and woke up every time the cold river water entered my mouth. Finally, the ichthyosaur's digestion stopped. The warmth of the viscera suddenly cooled down and the elastic stomach lining gradually solidified. Thus, I could be sure. He died. You are really great. A bright light in the darkness. Bi-Hyung's dim figure was floating in the air. Using the stone hog's thorn like this. I never even thought about it. Constellations, isn't it the same for you? Bi-Hyung looked at the stone hog's thorn emitting a faint light. The stone hog is a guy who mainly lives on the coast and feeds on small sea species. They insert the thorn into the skin of the prey, but I didn't think it would be used to plug up the openings for the digestive juices. Bi-Hyung's shining eyes weren't looking at me. The words weren't an explanation for me either. A few constellations are smiling as if they already know. The constellations have sponsored you 100 coins. A few constellations belatedly understand your judgment. The constellations complain that you should tell them by talking to yourself from now on. I ignored the messages from the constellations and drank the last of the condensed fluid. Your stamina has slightly increased due to absorbing the power of the ichthyosaur. Your stamina level has risen. Stamina LV 11-Stamina LV 12. I accomplished my intended purpose. Bi-Hyung came down to me and looked at my burnt arm. Furthermore, the mucus, I didn't know the mucus of the hammer seahorse was so potent. Originally, my skin should have melted from the ichthyosaur's digestive juices. I opened my mouth to stop Bi-Hyung's nonsense. The mucus of the hammer seahorse is immune to digestive fluids. They evolved in this way after often being eaten by the ichthyosaurs. A few constellations admire your knowledge. Then Bi-Hyung looked at me with a betrayed expression. Excuse me, I should be the one explaining. I did it because you don't know. Now is the explanation over? Yes. Then give me the reward. Cheeky bastard. Bi-Hyung grumbled while at the same time, a reward message appeared in front of my eyes. The hidden scenario has ended. You have obtained 9,000 coins in compensation. You are the first to have successfully hunted a grade 7 species. You have earned 1,000 coins as an achievement reward. 9,000 coins plus an additional 1,000 coins. It was a very huge income. Coins possessed, 14,800 C. If I added the 500 donated coins from filming my survival, the total income was 10,500 coins. It was over my target. Haha, constellations. Did you see it well? Let's quickly watch an advertisement before going straight to the next scenario. I could hear the faint sounds of an ad somewhere. New scenario opening featured package, 8,800 coins. Once the eyes of the constellations disappeared, Bi-hyung started speaking to me in a friendly manner. Sigh, it was a great survival. The response from the constellations was amazing. How much time passed? 4 days. I was in suspense the whole time I was watching. Were you unaware of the time? My smartphone died. It took more time than I thought. The original goal was 2 days. Well, Yo Jong-hyuk took 4 days in the 4th round to catch this, so the speed wasn't slow. Anyway, I did it. A pleasant feeling of fulfillment covered my whole body and made me confident. I was an ordinary person with ordinary skills. But even so, this didn't mean I could only do ordinary things. How funny. It was strange. A novel that hadn't been helpful for 28 years was now making me extraordinary. Oh, you are already talking to yourself. Isn't it good? For an incarnation, talking to yourself is essential. Of course, there are constellations who dislike it, but usually. Shut up and open the dokkibi bag. Why? Are you going to buy something? I'm not buying but selling. Damn, I'll have to cut the ad short. Constellations, hold on a second. I'll adjust the volume. As Bi-hyung opened the dokkibi bag, I looked at the thorns embedded in the wall. The upper barrier was hardened and deep cracks formed around the thorns. I could now smash through the upper barrier with my strength. I broke the wall little by little with the one remaining thorn. Shortly afterwards, I encountered the core of the ichthyosaur that was glowing blue. It's his core. It was an ether core found in monster species grade 7 or higher. I could raise my magic power level without coins if I ingested them. It was good quality because it was a Sea Commander grade ichthyosaur. I carefully cut at the flesh around the core while Bi-hyung looked at me with a dumbfounded expression. I'll sell this. You really? Of course, I don't mean to sell it to you. I'll put it on the dokkibi auction. Bi-hyung accepted it like he was tired of asking me anything. Sigh, do what you want. How much are you going to charge? I won't sell it for coins. I'll sell it by barter. Damn, you know all sorts of things. Bi-hyung grumbled while uploaded the item to the dokkibi auction. His desires were simple. This guy might listen better than I thought. Someone will show up to buy it. And the item exchanged must be broken faith. Broken faith? There is a person with it. In any case, it is registered. Yes. And I will buy this. I saw white pure star energy in the shopping cart. Indeed, nobody bought it yet. Most constellations weren't well aware of the value of coin items. The expensive items in the dokkibi bag weren't unconditionally good. Wait a minute, can I talk to you for a moment? At Bi-hyung's words, the advertising volume increased again. The constellations are complaining about the long advertisement. Once I saw that one more advertisement had appeared, I had a hunch about what Bi-hyung wanted to say. Is it the contract? Advertising was the only way to hide the eyes and ears of the constellations without turning off the broadcast. From now on, it wasn't a story for the constellations. Yes. I wasn't certain, but I became convinced after this scenario. Well, let's try it once. I can help you a little bit. Won't this violate the streamer's pledge? Of course, I can't really help you. I'm just saying that. Will you sign the contract? What are the conditions? Take a look. The dokkibi pulled out an extravagant contract that had been prepared. I read the contract that emerged as a transparent window in the air. Stream Contract Agreement. Incarnation Kim Doika, Gap, will sign an exclusive contract with Bi-hyung, Yul, until all scenarios are completed or until his death. Teal, Gap and Yul are based on the 10 celestial, heavenly stems, link. In Korea, they are consistently used to denote the smaller and larger contractor in a legal contract. I am the Gap. Haha, don't humans like this? It doesn't mean anything. Keep reading. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, will never choose a sponsor until all scenarios have ended or his death. This was also as expected. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, should only be active on the channel of Dokkibi Bihyung, Yul. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, and Dokkibi Bihyung, Yul, will distribute the revenue from stream contracts, and this ratio will be determined through mutual consultation. Times. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, and Dokkibi Bihyung, Yul, will be subject to destruction in accordance to the laws of Star Stream if they break this contract. I read the contract carefully to the last item. I thought he might play an unknown joke, but I didn't see that part. Except for one thing. There is the most important part. What do you mean? You can just say that you agree. The stream contract is a sole pledge. I'm talking about the pay ratio. Haha. Right. As if this bastard didn't know. This was the most important part. How about 5:5? Instead, I'll get rid of my channel fee. Do you know how to calculate it? I will accurately divide your future donations in this ratio. For example, if you get 100 coins, you will receive 50 coins and I will receive 50 coins. All stream contracts were like this. The constellations had incarnations appear on the Dokkibi's channel, and the contributions received from other constellations would be divided by a percentage. This was normal. Are you taking me for a pushover? I won't accept. What? But this is the industry's default settlement ratio. I'm an incarnation without a sponsor. When donating to an incarnation without a sponsor, the constellations must pay a huge fee to the Dokkibi. Haven't you already enjoyed a lot thanks to me? Bihyung's jaws slowly dropped open. But there was no point making that expression. 10 o'clock, you will only get the commission. I won't pay you a single penny. What? That is ridiculous. How about 7:3? The ratio changed greatly. But I wasn't going to concede. 10 o'clock. What is this fucking bullshit? It is a ridiculous rate. Then don't accept. I will just go to another channel. Gildal is doing well these days. I should ask him. 8:2. I can't concede anymore. 10 o'clock. Times. Bihyung's expression changed to a threatening one. He looked at my head like it would explode at any minute. But I knew. He would never give up the contract. My existence was his last chance. The advertisement is coming to an end. Don't you see the constellations complaining? In the end, Bihyung gave up. Shit, I understand. Then will you sign the contract? He surrendered easier than I thought. In fact, I was going to give up at 9:1. Maybe he earned more money than I expected. It was a bit disgusting. Yes. And one more thing. What? What now? You have to give a separate down payment. Give me 5,000 coins. Bihyung's expression tightened. Why you really? I laughed. Why was a gap, and why did humans dwell on it? I would let that damn Dokkibi know. The stream contract is concluded. You have received 5,000 coins as a down payment. The advertisement finished and the constellations came back. I patted the Dokkibi on the shoulder and said, "Let's get out of here." Now was the real start. Chapter 15. Episode 4, Line of Hypocrisy, 1. A meteor shower was pouring down in the starry sky. It was a sight that anyone would admire, but not Yo Jong-hyuk. It is starting. The meteor shower was the precursor to the third main scenario starting. Now Seoul would be destroyed one by one according to the scenario. Yo Jong-hyuk looked up at the sky before bowing his head and looking at the Han River. The landscape around Dongho Bridge was quite desolate since the large group of ichthyosaurs had recently moved downstream. It was too much. It had already been 3 days since Kim Dokja entered Han River. It might have been too much to demand that he catch the ichthyosaur at the first level. Indeed, it would be hard for me to catch an ichthyosaur in 3 days. But it would be impossible to take him if he couldn't do this much. If he couldn't even do this much, it would only hinder Yo Jong-hyuk. A profit isn't a big deal. Yo Jong-hyuk closed his eyes with disappointment. He would go on his own again. Without any companions. It wasn't a big deal. He had been alone all this time. This time I will definitely change it. Yo Jong-hyuk turned around. But maybe he had turned away too soon. Wait. What? I blinked several times but could only see a grey-white ceiling. I was still inside the ichthyosaur. I turned my head and saw the surprised Bi-hyung. I had a dream. Oh who, are you trying to raise curiosity? It isn't bad. I didn't mean to do such a thing, but I didn't mind the misunderstanding. A few constellations want you to move to a new place quickly. I used 500 coins to buy the Elaine Forest's vital force to help me sleep. I thought it was too dangerous to move while exhausted. The Elaine Forest's vital force quickly recovered fatigue and wounds in exchange for 2 hours of sleep. In other words, it was an expensive item. I really want to go out. I talked to myself while stretching my body. The dream I just had was still clear. Maybe it wasn't a dream. Kwajajijik. I heard the sound of an electric current scattering and Bi-hyung disappeared without a word. Maybe he went to do his job. I sighed with relief. The stream contract with the Dokkibi. It was a gamble that I never would have attempted if I hadn't known about Bi-hyung from Ways of Survival. But I did it with surprising calm. I never succeeded in any contracts in real life. The exclusive skill, Fourth Wall, is in use. This was real. I inserted strength to my right hand holding the thorn. I really thought this world was reality. A few constellations want you to act. Well, there was no time to worry about it. I swung the thorn as hard as I could at the stomach wall that lost its elasticity. At the same time, there was the sound of something collapsed and water pouring out. I plunged into Han River. Pua! Fortunately, I didn't see any other ichthyosaurs. Small seawater species approached with curiosity, but no hostility was felt. Not all creatures would attack humans. Dongho Bridge was over there. I used a piece of the ichthyosaur corpse as a flotation device and made my way towards dry land. My skin was cold from the cold water, but I couldn't worry about it. After 30 minutes of swimming, my hand reached land. A few constellations are nervous looking at you. Normally, danger would immediately come after this message popped up. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is making an insidious smile. It was a pity for the constellations, but something bad wouldn't happen to me. It was because I already knew the dangers. You have entered the region of the second main scenario. The land in the scenario area is deeply polluted. Be careful about your breathing and move underground as quickly as possible. The message said this, but in fact, I shouldn't be on the ground from the moment this scenario started. Why? Look at my skin now. You have been exposed to poisonous fog. The skin touched by the violet fog turned black. Kaya! Once I followed the source of the fog with my eyes, I saw a monster making terrible cries. It was a massive monster over 30 meters big. This fog was the fart of the Grade 7 monster, Great Poisonous Rhinoceros. The rhino snorted and confronted a monster in the fog, which seemed to be an insect king species based on the shadow. Kua! The struggle in this new world wasn't just for humans. The monsters were also fighting for their homes. I moved while holding my breath as much as possible. They were Grade 7 monsters like the ichthyosaur, but I couldn't do with them right now. In the first place, I could kill the sea commander because I was prepared. You have used the Elaine monkey's lungs. The monkey's lungs was an item I bought in advance that could be used as a substitute for an air purifier for 20 minutes. A few constellations admire your readiness. The above-ground station, Oksu Station, had already been destroyed. The nearest underground station from here was Gumho Station. Maybe the others had moved there. I moved quickly while avoided the small species that were eating the corpses. I only had 20 minutes, so I needed to move as quickly as possible while securing supplies. The first thing I needed was clothes. My outerwear was melted by the ichthyosaur's fluids, so it was necessary. Of course, there were many of them all around, but I felt uncomfortable. It couldn't be helped. I searched some bodies and grabbed clothes that roughly fit. Then I headed to a nearby convenience store. I grabbed a few plastic bags and swept in food randomly. Food would be a valuable trading item after going underground. I filled 3 or 4 bags like this. It seemed that the color of the monkey's lungs was becoming increasingly darker. There wasn't much time left. Then I heard someone's voice. "Help, help me." There was someone still alive? A young woman was lying down in a corner. The poisoning was progressing on the surface of the skin, but the toxic condition wasn't severe due to the mask she was wearing. Her jacket was half removed and a bit of her skirt was torn. "Are you okay? Can you stand?" Ah! Was there such an extra in Ways of Survival? I wanted to take a closer look, but I didn't have enough time. I picked up the woman and ran to Gumho Station. I turned and a side street appeared. Now the distance to Gumho Station was 100 meters in a straight line. I breathed in and started to run with all my strength. I could see the exit 3 sign in the distance. Closed. Then on the other side? There was a fire shutter down at every exit due to the disaster situation. I could break the shutter with his thorn, but if I did it wrong, the people inside might be damaged. Exit 4. Unexpectedly, the woman I was carrying was helpful. I ran towards exit 4. Then I found a fire shutter that was rolling down. I placed the thorn in the gap of the shutter that was trying to close. Somebody yelled out, "Shit, what is this? Open the door." "And no. You can't come in. Go away. There is a wounded person. We are already in a full state. We don't need any more people." It was full of people? Strange. Was there such a development? I don't care about that. I used the thorn as a lever and lifted the shutter as hard as possible. Since I used the coins to increase my strength to level 10, I now had the strength of half a dozen adult males. Uwak! There was a loud sound and the people on the other side of the shutter became nervous. I run away. The scared men escaped into the darkness of the underground passage. I entered the station safely, lowered the shutter and put the girl down on the floor. You have entered the safety zone. The poisonous fog didn't come down to the underground area. There was no possible scientific explanation. It was just because of the scenario. Put this in your mouth. I took off the woman's mask and handed over the monkey's lungs. It wouldn't completely cure her, but it would have a neutralizing effect. A faint groan emerged from the mouth of the woman. The woman who was abandoned. I suddenly wondered about her information. This woman, it was likely that she had died in the original development. A voice was heard as I was about to use character list. There he is. Light from a flashlight approached in the darkness. My eyes narrowed as I saw men holding metal pipes. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband frowns at the appearance of the uninvited people. A big man in the middle opened his mouth. His body was well balanced, so he must be a strong person. Who are you? At this moment, I was strangely struck dumb. What should I say when this happened? I thought for a moment before speaking like Yo Jong-hyuk. Kim Dokja. Kim Dokja? That is your name? Yes. Who asked that? What is this bastard? It was a more difficult question. You are. That woman. One of the men found the woman beside me and shone the flashlight on her. What, isn't that woman from the marginalized group? Didn't you come back with her? That is. The man's flashlight moved in a harassing manner near the woman's waist. So it was like that. Cute guys. Why did you do that without Hyungnim's permission? Hee. I'm sorry. No, of course Kyulsu Hyungnim should be first. I was going to do that. Kyulsu? Kyulsu. Was there a character by that name? I couldn't remember. He must be nothing, as opposed to how he looked. Hey, hand that woman over to us, here? What is that? The flashlight shone on the convenience store bags on the floor. It was okay to escape the crisis, but the flow was turning out bad. Leave that as well. Then you can live. To be exact, it wasn't good for these guys, not me. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband is annoyed at these people. The constellation demon-like judge of fire is angry with the injustice occurring. A bounty scenario has occurred at the request of the constellations. Bounty scenario: remove the interference. Category: sub. Difficulty: F. Clear conditions: the constellations feel great anger at the disruptors who are obstructing your rapid movements. Neutralize them within the time limit. Time limit: 5 minutes. Compensation? Failure? I thought it would be like this. Poor bastards. I got up while holding the thorn. There weren't any minors in the constellations, right? I hoped so. It was because it was now the adult broadcasting time.